तत्वोपदेश श्लोक 20, I suppose 20. अपेक्ष्यतेऽखिलैर्मानैः न यन्मानमपेक्षते वेदवाक्यं प्रमाणं तत् ब्रह्मात्मावगतौ मतम्. So, Brahman, how to experience Brahman? Most often people ask this question: how can I see Brahman? How can I experience Brahman? This line is an answer to such questions. Brahman does not depend on any experience for being evident. Instead, every experience is dependent on Brahman for being known. Unlike any other object, an object, let's say pot, the pot does not become evident by itself. If the pot has to become evident, it depends on an experience, on a knowledge. And knowledge is called mana. Jnana. Mana means jnana. Pot depends on a knowledge to be evident. Unlike the pot, Brahman does not depend on any knowledge for being evident. Instead, the knowledge depends on Brahman to be evident. It is the speciality of Brahman. Without Brahman, without the blessing of Brahman, even the knowledge cannot become evident. Therefore, even before the knowledge arises, Brahman has to be evident. Without depending on any knowledge, without depending on any experience, therefore, Brahman is called self-evident. Swayam Prakashaha. Yeah. I have lost my connection. I got a Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi has some problem. Now I connected through my 4G mobile anyway. Here Wi-Fi is not very reliable. So therefore Brahman is self-evident. Therefore Brahman does not depend on any experience to be evident. So please put off your microphones. Phone off. Yeah. अपेक्षते अखिलैः मानैः ब्रह्म अखिलैः मानैः अपेक्षते by all manas, all cognitions, all experiences require Brahman. Apekshate. They require Brahman. They depend on Brahman. Whereas Nayan Manam Apekshate. Brahman doesn't depend on any mana. Brahman doesn't depend on any cognition or any experience to be evident. Therefore, you don't have to seek an experience of Brahman because it is already evident as the very Chaitanya, as the very illuminer of every experience. This is beautifully mentioned in Kenopanishad. Pratibodha viditam matam amritatvam hi vindate. Brahman, Atma is pratibodha viditam. It is evident in every cognition as the very illuminer of every cognition. Not as an object of a cognition, not as an object of an experience. Instead, it is evident as the very illuminer of the experience. So, अपेक्षते अखिलैः मानैः नयन मानम अपेक्षते. In spite of that, so Brahman is evident, already evident, always evident as the very Chaitanya. In spite of that, we are not aware of Brahman. There is ignorance of Brahman. How is it possible? We give the example of 10th man. When they counted 10 people, there were 10 people, but when they counted, there were only 9. Where is the 10th man? It is not that the 10th man is missing. The 10th man is very much there and he is very much evident also. He is the very person who is counting. The very person who is counting is the 10th man. But he is missing. It is not that they have to find a new 10th man from outside. They don't have to find. The 10th man is here. evident, explicit, yet missing. This is ignorance. That is what ignorance does. Ignorance does not make Brahman non-evident. Brahman remaining evident gets missed, gets lost sight of because of ignorance. In Panchadashi, Vidyaranya explains this beautifully. Bhanepi abhanam. Bhane api abhanam. Though Brahman is evident, you don't see Brahman. You miss Brahman. And it is possible because of avidya, ignorance. Therefore, our work is not to make Brahman evident. It is not to experience Brahman. Instead, we have to remove the ignorance of Brahman. Just like in the case of the 10th man. You don't have to get a new 10th man from elsewhere. You don't have to find another man. You have to recognize an already existing person as the 10th man. And for that, you need a help. In the example of the 10th man, the help comes from a person, a passing by well-wisher. He comes and says, you are the 10th man, Dashamas Tvamasi. The passerby comes and helps. Likewise, in the case of Brahman, it is the Vedanta Vakya. Vedanta Vakya comes to our help to show you are Brahman. Therefore, the second line, Vedavakyam pramanam tat brahmatmavagato matam tad brahma atmavagato. To understand that the Brahman itself is Atma. The Brahman is you yourself. To understand this and thereby remove our ajnana, to remove our ignorance, we need a pramana, a means of knowledge, and that is Vedavakyam, Vedanta Vakyam, the statement of Vedanta. Ato hi tattvamassyadi Vedavakyam pramanataha brahmanosti yaya yuktya sasmabhis samprakirtyate. So, Vedavakya is pramana. What kind of Vedavakya? Not the Veda Purva. Veda Purva does not reveal Brahman. It is Veda Anta. the final portion of the Vedas that reveals the Brahman. And in the Vedanta also, there are certain Vakyas called Mahavakya. The Mahavakya works as the Pramana, the means of knowledge. So, Atohi, therefore, since Vedavakya Pramana is needed, therefore, Tattvamasyadi Vedavakyam Pramanatah Brahmanaha Asti. Tattvamasyadi Vedavakya Brahmanaha Pramanatah Asti. It is there as Pramana to understand Brahman, to remove the ignorance of Brahman by understanding Brahman properly, by recognizing Brahman properly. And now, to understand the Mahavakya properly, we have to make use of our buddhi. We have to make use of our reasoning. Because if we take it literally, it won't make sense. Tvam is a jiva, a limited individual, and tat is Brahman, Ishvara, free from all limitations. The equation between tat and tvam does not really make sense if we take it prima facie. But then we have to analyze yukti. Yukti means analysis here. Yaya yuktya pramanam bhavati. By what kind of analysis Tattvamasi becomes meaningful. Tattvamasi reveals Brahman as the very self. Sa asmabhihi samprakirtyate. It is being explained by us. So now, analysis on Tattvamasi. Analysis of Mahavakya Tattvamasi. Just a minute. Next shloka. Shodhite tvam padarthe hi tattvamasyadi chintitam sambhave nanyatha tasmat shodhanam kritamaditaha. So, to understand Tattvamasi Mahavakya, we have to do shodhanam of Tvampadartha first. Tvampadartha shodhanam. And Tvampadartha shodhanam, just logically understanding is not enough. It should be assimilated also. We identify with the body, mind, prana, senses. Our identification with the body, etc., is very strong. And most often, It is not limited to our body also. It extends to things outside our body. Relatives, son, daughter, my son, and he is a part of me. He is not different from me. The attachment extends to the son and daughter also. We look upon them as a part of ourselves. So the identification extends to objects outside the body also. That is the strength of Dehabhimana, the strength of bodily identification. One has to work out Dehabhimana, work with it, eliminate Dehabhimana slowly. Because as long as the Dehabhimana continues, Tvampadartha Shodhanam has not really taken place properly. So that is why one should keep contemplating, meditating, and abide in the understanding. I am not the body. Aham na shariraha. Aham ashariraha. I am ashariraha. I am free from the body, free from the mind, free from sthula sharira and sukshma sharira. When this is assimilated properly, then alone one can say that Tvampadartha Shodhanam has really happened properly. So, the understanding of Vedanta, for the understanding of Vedanta, to derive benefit from Vedanta Vichara, one should go deeper into Tvampadartha Shodhanam, cleansing of Tvampadartha. So, Shodhite Tvampadarthehi, only when Tvampadartha Shodhanam is properly done, Tattvamasyadi Chintitam Sambhavet. Tattvamasyadi Mahavakya can be properly understood. Na anyatha, not otherwise. The main problem lies with Tvampadartha because of our identification with the body. So, Tasmat Shodhanam Kritamaditaha. Therefore, the author also, right in the beginning, started with the Tvampadartha Shodhanam. Already we have seen Tvampadartha Shodhanam in the initial few verses, starting from verse 2, shloka 2. It was Tvampadartha Shodhanam. Natvam dehosi drishyatvat, etc. So you are not the Deha, you are not the Indriya. So all these things we have to keep telling to ourselves again and again, because the Dehabhimana comes, it is very strong, because it has gone into ourselves in many janmas. In many janmas, we have identified ourselves with the body. Therefore, it is not easy to get rid of it. It needs greater effort, special effort. So, देहेन्द्रियादि धर्मान्यः स्वात्मन्यारोपयन् मृषा कर्तृत्वाद्यभिमानी च वाच्यार्थस्त्वं पदस्य सः. So now Tattvamasi Mahavakya has two padas, Tatpada and Tvampada. Tvampada, the author takes up Tvampada, and Tvampada has Vachyartha and Lakshyartha. Vachyartha is the direct meaning, and Lakshyartha is the implied meaning. So what is the Vachyartha of Tvampada? The author explains the Vachyartha of Tvampada in this shloka. Tvampada Vachyartha is Jiva, Jivatma. What is Jiva? One who identifies with the body, an individual who identifies with the body, mind, etc., and who identifies himself as Karta, Bhokta, etc., doer, enjoyer, etc. He is called Jiva. Dehendriyadi dharmanyaha swatmani aropayan. Dehendriyadi dharma, the attributes of the body, mind, etc. Swatmani aropayan, he superimposes on himself. Mrisha, and this aropa is mrisha. It is not real. The attributes of the body are not really the attributes of Atma. The attributes of mind are not really the attributes of Atma. Therefore, the aropa, the superimposition, is mrisha, mithya. The attributes of the body are not your attributes. Likewise, the attributes of the mind is also not your attribute. Kartrutvadi abhimani, and he becomes Kartrutvadi abhimani. He identifies as doer, enjoyer, etc. Doership, enjoyership. In fact, they belong to the mind and the body. The doership is in the mind, not in the Atma. But the doership is superimposed on the Atma. Kartrutva is superimposed on the Atma. And so is Bhoktrutva, enjoyership. When we superimpose doership and enjoyership, we become samsaris. So Kartrutvadi abhimana and then samsaritva abhimana. We have to understand it. So dehendriya adhyasa. So the first step is deha, indriya, mana. All these things are superimposed on the Atma. When we identify Deha, Indriya, etc., we identify with the attributes of Deha, Indriya, etc. The height, weight, etc. of the body is superimposed on the Atma. Likewise, the attributes of mind, Kartrutva, Bhoktrutva, doership, enjoyership, they are superimposed on the Atma. So, first of all, Dehendriya Adhyasa. Adhyasa means superimposition. Then Dehendriya Dharma Adhyasa. The attributes of Deha Indriya are superimposed. And then he becomes a samsari. Samsaritva Adhyasa. He becomes a complaining individual. I am the doer. So I have guilt. The doership is accompanied by guilt. And the enjoyership is accompanied by hurt. When I am the bhokta, I am the enjoyer, I get hurt. So all those are superimposed. And it is the vachyartha, the individual who is a samsari, the individual who is a karta and bhokta, is the direct meaning of tvam, you. Because when we say you, what comes to our mind first? It is our individual, we as individuals. That is the vachyartha, the direct meaning. Then lakshyartha. What is the lakshyartha of Tvam-pada? Dehendriyadi sakshiyaha tebhyo bhati vilakshanaha swayam bodhaswarupatvat lakshyarthastvam padasya saha. So, Tvam-pada lakshyartha is the sakshi. Dehendriyadi sakshiyaha. One who is sakshi of body, senses, etc. The witness consciousness, the Chaitanya which illumines, the Chaitanya which witnesses the body, mind, etc. Tebhyaha vilakshanaha, and it is distinct from body, mind, senses, etc. The body, mind, senses are jada. Sakshi is Chaitanya. The body, mind, senses are subject to changes. Sakshi is free from changes. Therefore, tebhyaha vilakshanaha bhati, it shines. Being Chaitanya, it is shining always. Swayambodha swarupatvat. So bhati, how shines? Swayambodha swarupatvat. Because it is self-effulgent. Swayambodha swarupa. It is Tvam-pada lakshyartha. It is the implied meaning of Tvam-pada. Now, Tatpadartha. Vedanta Vakya Samvedya Vishwatitaksharadvayam विशुद्धं यस्त्वसंवेद्यं लक्ष्यार्थस्तत्पदस्य सः. He gives the lakshyartha of tatpada. The vachyartha of tatpada is Ishvara, the cause of the universe. When we say cause of the universe is also included. Without the universe as the effect, Ishvara cannot be the cause. Therefore, when we say cause, there is cause-effect relation. And when there is cause-effect relation, there is effect also. Without effect, there cannot be cause. Therefore, the vachyartha of Tatpada includes the universe and includes the relation between Brahman and universe. But we have to go to the Lakshyartha, because the universe also has to be negated ultimately. Therefore, the author goes for Lakshyartha. Vedanta Vakya Samvedya, the Lakshyartha of Tatpada, has to be known from Vedanta itself. Unlike Tompada. For knowing Tompada, you don't need that much help of Vedanta. But for understanding Tatpada, you cannot do it without the help of Vedanta at all. Therefore, Vedanta Vakya Samvedya. It is known by means of Vedanta Vakya. Vedanta alone is Pramana. Vishwatita Aksharadvayam. It is Vishwatita. The Brahman is Vishwatita. Transcends the universe. It is immanent as well as transcendent. It pervades the universe. In the meantime, it transcends the universe as well. It is told beautifully in Purusha Sukta. Sabhumim Vishwato Vritva Atyatishthad Dashangulam. He pervades the earth, Vishwataha, all over. In the meantime, transcends the universe by 10 inches. 10 inches is figurative. Transcends. That is the idea. An example, it is like a movie screen. The movie screen pervades every picture in the movie. You cannot touch any picture in the movie without touching the movie screen. Every picture, every scene is pervaded by the movie screen. In the meantime, the screen transcends the pictures. The screen is not affected by any of the pictures. If the movie has fire, the screen doesn't burn. If the movie has water, the screen doesn't get wet. The screen transcends the movie. Likewise, Brahman, being the support of everything, in spite of being the support of everything, Brahman transcends the universe. Therefore, Vishwatitam, Aksharam, imperishable, eternal, Advayam, non-dual, one without a second, Vishuddham, pure, free from punya and papa, free from samsara, free from maya, yat swasamvedyam, it is also self-effulgent, lakshyarthas tatpadasya saha, it is the lakshyartha of tatpada, tatpada lakshyartha, the implied meaning of tatpada. So now the analysis of Mahabharata, analysis of Mahavakya continues. In Mahavakya, Tatpada and Tvampada, they are in apposition with each other. Apposition is called Samanadhikaranya. Samanadhikaranya means apposition. For example, Delhi is the capital of India. Delhi is the capital. The word Delhi and the word capital, they are in apposition. It means the word Delhi and the word capital, they don't have two different meanings. Both are referring to the same place. What is capital? Delhi. What is Delhi? Capital. So, in a sentence, when two words refer to the same object, it is called Samanadhikaranya. In English, it is called apposition. The two words are in apposition. Likewise, in Mahavakya, Tattvamasi, Tat and Tvam, they are in apposition. And it is figured out by looking at the Sanskrit syntax. Tattvam asi, you are that. So, even in the sentence, even at the level of the language, two words are referring to the same thing. We can understand it. Therefore, we can understand that Tat and Tvam are equated to each other. They are equated to each other. We will read. Samanadhikaranyam hi padayostattva sambandhastena vedantaihi brahmaikyam pratipadyate. Tattvamoho dvayoho padayoho samanadhikaranyam sambandhaha. The relation between tatpada and tvampada. What is the relation between the two words? We are discussing the two words, not their meanings. Meanings will come later. before going to the meaning, we have to understand the relation between the two words. Then we understand the relation between their meanings. So the relation between two words in a sentence. It is so in any language. First of all, we have to understand the relation between the words in a sentence. And then we have to understand the relation between the meanings. For example, Rama eats a mango. Rama eats a mango. If you say, what is the role of a mango in the sentence? And what is the role of Rama in the sentence? You have to figure out the very words. The word Rama in the sentence, in the syntactical construct of the sentence, the word Rama is present in the location of the agent. Therefore, it is agent or subject. So the word is subject. And a mango, the word a mango, mango, is in the location of an object. Therefore, it has the role of an object in the sentence. Therefore, the relation between Rama and a mango, the two words, is subject and object. This much you figure out first. And then you understand the relation between their meaning. Since the word Rama is in the place of subject in the sentence, even the meaning of the word Rama, which is the person Rama himself, should be the subject of the action of eating. Whereas the mango, the word mango is in the place of the object. Therefore, the meaning, which is the mango fruit itself, also is object of eating. So that is how first we figure out the role of the words, the relation between the words in the sentence, and then we understand the relation between the meanings. That is how language works. First, it works at the word level, then it works at the meaning level. So first we have to figure out the relation between the words. Then we figure out the relation between the meanings. So now with the Tattvamasi Mahavakya also, we are doing similar analysis. First we are deciphering the relation between the two words, Tat and Tvam. And then we will decipher the relation between the two meanings. So, as far as the relation between the two words are concerned, it is called Samanadhikaranya. So, the sambandha between the two padas, sambandha between the two words, padayoha sambandha. We are not talking about the relation between two meanings, between the two words. What is the sambandha? Samanadhikaranya. Both are in apposition. And through this sambandha, through the Samanadhikaranya between Tat and Tvam, Vedantaihi Brahmaikyam Pratipadyate. The Vedanta reveals the oneness of Jiva and Brahman. The oneness between Jiva and Brahman is revealed. So how it is revealed, he is explaining later on. So before that, he will define Samanadhikaranya. How do you determine that two words have Samanadhikaranya in a sentence? We will see in the next week. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.